Sing me a song of a lass that is gone. Say, could that lass be I? Mary of soul, she sailed on a day over the sea to sky.
Hey everyone, Alvine here. Today I'm going to be talking about my Topsy-Turvey Samhain. So it is definitely autumn here where I live. We've had the weather change quite considerably in the last week or so. It's a cold day today, which I'm loving, to be honest. It's been really windy and just kind of, the feeling of winter is coming. We've actually had a storm warning, so I haven't really seen signs of that yet, other than, the wind kind of being quite high today. I've got some big magics planned for tonight, so I'm hoping that I'll be able to do that to a backdrop of a thunderstorm. That would be really nice. So it is Samhain for me, and Samhain to me is a time of death, of endings. Something that I actually really like about living in the Southern Hemisphere and observing the wheel of the year is that I'm actually acutely aware of what is going on in the Northern Hemisphere. Most of the things I see on social media, all that kind of thing, is people talking about Beltane, of course, because there is a much higher pagan population up north than there is down here in the south. So, it's something that I'm always aware of, this opposite side of the wheel, which is something that I'm actually really grateful for, because I think it helps to keep me in perspective. Through death, there is always life, and through life, there is always death. As the world, in the Southern Hemisphere goes into waning, dies down, becomes dormant, in the north, it's obviously the opposite. There is waxing and life is renewing from the time of death that there was, 6 months ago. So that's something that I quite like about kind of being a Southern Hemisphere pagan and following the wheel, is that I'm always acutely aware of that. And back here I actually have this little plate, which I think you can see, and it's got the winter side here and the summer, or spring side there. And it's something that was perfect for my altar, because I have realised that in my own life, this is really going to be a time of death for me. It's a time for me to really let things go. And through doing that, I'm not losing things. I'm actually I'm creating a base, a fertile soil for things to grow, for the new to grow, and for the desires of my heart to grow. So it's been kind of funny how this has all happened. The last few weeks I've had things going on, and I didn't really know what they were about. I had a few big things going on, and I just thought, what is this? And I realise now that it was preparation for me for this time of death, for this time of letting go, for this time of allowing, for this time of decay, and for this time of returning to the void. So on Sunday, everything clicked into place for me. Within a matter of, honestly, about half an hour, I got it. And I was like, okay, I see now that this is, it's a waning time for me. I really accepted that, and I was just so ready. In the past, things like that have scared me, letting go, and, the fear of loss has really been a big thing for me. But now, in this time of the year, and possibly because I have observed nature a lot more closely over the past couple of years as well, that change and that death and decay isn't something I'm as afraid of anymore, because I know, through seeing Mother Nature, that there is always life that comes after that. New life, new growth. So I feel really prepared I mean, I don't know what's coming, and I may change my tune, you know, once a few things start happening. But I'm very acceptance, and this is a stage of acceptance. And, you know, I just think that it's so beautiful that it's Samhain, you know, that's this time of year that we're coming into winter. You know, we're coming into a time where, you know, people think of desolation and, you know, well, true death, nothing being alive. You know, and where I live, it's not quite that harsh, like we don't get snow and things like that. So there is always some greenery and things like that here. So it's not quite so, you know, final. You know, and with loss, there is, or with letting go, with death, I should say, there is often a grieving period. The period may last a few seconds, you know, it may last a few minutes, it may last a few hours, weeks, months, years, you know, it depends on the grief and the person and, you know, what has happened. You know, here we have huge bushfires that can rage through, and a few years ago there was, we call it Black Saturday here, and there was huge fires and many people died, and it was a really awful, you know, thing that happened. And these were massive bushfires, and they wiped out towns, you know, they wiped out places. And you could, you know, after everything had kind of been cleared up, if you drove through there, everything was black, you know, there was no life. You know, there was skeleton trees, and that was about it, kind of thing. It was, yeah, there was no animals anymore, nothing like that. It was very eerie. And now those places are becoming renewed, you know, even after so much death and so much destruction, where you would, you know, look at these places and think, you know, how can anything ever grow here? There is abundant life now, you know, through that desolation, new life has been able to come forward, and, you know, they're really gorgeous places again now. So for me, what I'm really focusing on in this time is not the loss that I know needs to occur, the shaving off, the getting rid of. It is really returning to heart space for me. That's what I'm focused on. I'm not afraid of letting go. I want everything to just, you know, slide off me. And I know it's not that simple. You know, we've got a lot of attachments and egoic things going on, so it won't be that simple. But I'm ready to do that because I want to be renewed. You know, I feel like I've been running on a bit of a rat wheel for the last particularly few months, you know, kind of with certain dreams and ideas that I've had for my life, you know, trying to do them, trying to get them done, going through this, you know, whole thing, and nothing much has been happening. And I've realized what I need to do is return into my authenticity. You know, I think that some of my dreams and ideas aren't my true desires at all. You know, they're things that I've picked up along the way that I think I would like, but they're not truly, and I know they're not truly because they're not things that I've been able to get passionate about, you know, which should come naturally. You know, when you're following your heart, you know, you follow your passions, you follow your bliss. So I'm going through this time, and it was really funny actually, well, kind of funny. So Sunday I came to this conclusion that this was this time for me, and Monday morning death was occurring on my front doorstep, literally. I won't go into the whole story, but basically a tree of mine was cut down, and I wasn't prepared for it. I didn't know it was going to happen. And for me it was very upsetting because, you know, this whole space that I live on now is kind of one cell, one organism, one thing to me, and I've connected with all of it as a whole. It's my home. I love it here. And that particular tree too, I was sad because, you know, a lot of birds play around in that tree. You know, we get blackbirds and magpies and crows and other birds that I don't even know what they are, all through that tree, and the bees as well. It's one of their favourite trees. So it wasn't just for my own connection sake or my own aesthetic sake, but also for, you know, part of the ecosystem that I'm a part of, very much so, was destroyed. So it hit me very, like, quite a lot, you know, and a lot of people would think that's a bit funny, like it's a tree, but for all those reasons that I said, it was something that did affect me, and I realised, you know, after my kind of grief period, or through my grief period, I realised that, you know, this was death occurring, and I had said just the night before, I'm ready, like, death is coming, you know, this is the time in my life right now, and Monday morning. So that was, yeah, and you can probably hear maybe some construction-y things going on out there. That was the reason the tree was cut down. There's a new fence going in. But the thing I am really keeping in mind and taking on in this time, that, you know, we are part of a sacred circle of life and creation, destruction, death. And, you know, wherever there is death, there is always life. There is always a new door that opens, or a window. There's always something that comes from that, you know. We don't just have, you know, things cut off, and, you know, we'll always be replaced in those areas with something refurbished, renewed. I think that's all I have to kind of say on the subject at the moment. I felt like I kind of had this a lot more coherent in my head, and it's just come out as like a big tumble, but that's fine. I'll be sharing my Samhain altar with you soon, which is behind me here. Maybe I'll even film it today, actually. That might not be a bad idea. Yeah, I hope you're all really enjoying the season wherever you are. If you're in the Beltane season, or if you're in the Samhain season, I hope that you are brought much happiness, and you are seeing renewal in your life, and you are letting go what needs to be let go. You know, the beautiful thing about life is that it's not linear. So there is death and life in all moments, in all different parts of our life, all the time. So whatever is happening for you right now, my heart is with you, and I hope that you are taking on the lessons and giving yourself the space you need to grieve if you are in a stage of loss as well. I wish you all much love and many, many season blessings. Bye.